Hello everyone. In this video I am going to tell you about the most important questions or likely questions which will come in income tax 2, that is for 6th semester BCOM Bangalore University. So in this particular video by chapter I am going to tell you which are the topics will come for 2 marks, 6 marks and the 14 marks. So now let us move on. First unit is purely about profits and gains of business and profession. So in this particular chapter, this is most important chapter, and in this particular chapter you will get the question for 2 marks, 6 marks and even to the 14 marks. Here one thing is, for 14 marks you will get 2 questions, that is about profits and gains, that is calculation of profits and gains from business and profits and gains from profession separately. So you will get a 14 marks compulsory question. So later I will tell you the first one. For 2 marks you may get the meaning of business and profession and vocation. So this may ask you for 2 marks, and for 2 marks again they may ask with any 4, that is write any 4 admissible expenses or allowable expenses or any 4 disallowable expenses or any 4 expenses expressly disallowed. Like that they may ask any 4 different expenses, and these expenses you may identify if you know how to calculate the income from business and income from profession. So now this is about for 2 marks. Then we have for 6 marks. So 6 marks here you will get only the problems on income from profession, such as for a lawyer or doctor they may ask, and the adjustments will be very minimal adjustments or minimal points where you have to consider for the purpose of calculation. And for 14 marks, as I told earlier, compulsory you will get the problem from income from business 1 and problem from income from profession 1. That is 2 14 marks question compulsorily you will get in the exam. And for if you are ready or if you very good at calculating this income from business and income from profession, then it is easy to solve the problems which comes for 6 marks and even for 2 marks, because as I said for earlier, for 2 marks questions mainly they will ask about the expenses, that is allowed expenses, disallowed expenses, expressly allowed, expressly disallowed, like that they will ask. So these expenses you may identify when you are calculating income from business and income from profession. So this is about the unit 1, that is profits and gains from business or profession. So we can move on to the second important question chapter, that is unit, that is income from capital gains. See, income from capital gain is also an important chapter where you will get more than 30 marks question from this particular chapter. That is about meaning of capital gain, meaning of short-term capital gain, meaning of long-term capital gain, then again meaning of short-term capital assets, meaning of long-term capital assets, then meaning of indexed cost of acquisition. So here whenever we are calculating the value of an asset, we should know the calculation of cost of acquisition. So how we will calculate that cost of acquisition? This cost of acquisition will be calculated by seeing certain index, the values will be given in that. So on the basis of that we will do this calculation. So in here meaning you have to write, and another one they may ask the calculation which is there the last, any 4 long-term assets under section 54 EC. So in 54 EC we have lot many long-term assets which we will consider when we are identifying or when we are calculating income from capital gains. And finally, how do you calculate the cost of acquisition? So whenever we are purchasing a particular machinery or a land or shares, we have to calculate the cost of acquisition, and that cost of acquisition will be calculated for the purpose of when we are selling that asset. So again, for calculating the cost of acquisition there are certain method, and that method you have to write in the examination. So this may ask you for 2 marks. So this comes for 2 marks, that is income from capital gains. Next we have income from capital gains in 6 marks. Again here the problem, there is no any theory question from this, only the practicals will be there for 6 marks and even for 14 marks. That is problems on short term capital gain such as machinery, house, plot, shares, debentures. So here any one asset they will take, either it may be machinery or house or plot. So they will give certain information when they have purchased, how many days they have used it, and for how much rate they have sold, what is the municipal value. So like that they will give certain information about that particular asset, and after finding or after knowing those assets value, you have to calculate the income from capital gain, that is especially on short term capital gain. Then we have income from capital gain, that is for 14 marks. So for this 14 marks question, so it includes all type of assets. So either it may be house, plot or machinery or any jewelry, even jewelry, all those things will be considered, where for 6 marks you will calculate one or another. That is, either the question will be for plot, or either the question will be for house property, or either the question will be for machinery. But here for 14 marks they will give jointly, that is jointly they will give, which means you have to calculate for machinery separately, house rent separately and jewelry separately, and then you have to club the income from that is long term capital gain. So like this you will get the question from unit 2. Then we have unit 3. Unit 3 is income from other sources. So income from other sources is one chapter which will give more clarity about other than all other source of income, that is income from salaries, income from house property, income from business or profession, income from capital gain. There are some other income where all other income except that 4 heads of income will come under the head income from other sources. So when we are talking about income from other sources, so then what is called here as the meaning of casual income, then meaning of tax free commercial debenture. You have to, they may ask for 2 marks. Again write any 4 income under income from other sources. They may ask any 4 sources. It comes like winning from lotteries, winning from horse race, winning from other sources. So they may ask any 4 sources, so you have to write any 4 here. So if you gone through that income from other sources, we have various sources which will come, the income other apart from the business. So it comes here like such as the interest received, interest paid, or dividends received. So all these things will come under income from other sources. So here again meaning of tax free commercial debenture. So what is the meaning of tax free commercial debenture? You have to write, they may ask. Or else what are the tax free government securities? So there are certain securities which are not having any tax, where it will be paid by the it will be deducted at the source and there won't be any tax on it. So that one, what are the tax free government securities, you can identify. Then what is less tax security? There are certain securities where the rate of tax will be minimal, and there is a condition again to fulfill or to call minimal or less tax security. So what is the meaning of it, they may ask, you have to write it. And next one, it comes to the what is X interest transaction. So X interest transaction, again you have to write the meaning. Then meaning of tax liability, taxability of dividend income. So how you will consider the dividend income for the purpose of calculation of tax. And finally, how do you treat daily allowance given to a member of parliament, that is for MP. So there is again certain procedure, and if you know this particular procedure, that particular procedure will be helpful for you to solve the problem for even 6 marks. Even for 6 marks they will give certain information about a person such as MP or MLA, and for them you have to calculate the income. So when you are calculating the income, so how you will calculate any daily allowance which is given by the central government to them, to MP or MLA. So how you will consider it, the treatment you have to write. So this comes for 2 marks. Then for 6 marks, a calculation of income from other sources with minimal, that again, so they will give you the questions such as calculate the income from other sources, such as winning from lotteries, winning from horse race. So they may ask like even the interest received, then director fees received, then family pension received, so dividends received from pension, or winning from lottery, Sikkim state lottery, or crossword puzzle, or gift received from friend in London. So there are lot many income from other sources. So they will give some information such as Mr. X received 10,000 from horse race, 3,000 from lottery, 2,500 from crossword puzzle. So there's like that they will ask certain information where you have to calculate the income from other sources. So this is for 6 marks. Again for 14 marks the same will be there, but the number of conditions or number of adjustments will be more, where you have to calculate for each and every one on the basis of the permission or the deduction or will be available, which is under section 80 CCC to 80 U. You have to consider and you have to calculate those things that comes to income from other sources. And fourth one, deduction from gross total income. So till now we you have understood the income from salary, income from house property, income from capital gain, income from other source, and income from business or profession. After adding all the income, we'll call it as gross total income. So on this from this gross total income, we have to deduct certain allowances which are available to the people. It's especially we'll call it as deductions under section 80 CCC to 80 U. So in this particular chapter we'll calculate the total income. Till now we have calculated individually, that is income from house property, income from business or profession, income from capital gain, or income from other source. But in fourth chapter we will calculate, or you will calculate the total income, that is gross total income. By adding all the 5 different sources of income, you will calculate gross total income. So once you calculated gross total income, then you in that you have to deduct certain deductions. So as we know, in income tax we have certain facilities which are available under section 80. It's especially we'll call deductions under section 80C to 80U. That is it may be the life insurance which is paid, or contribution to pension fund, or rent paid to residential house by an assessee to the landlord, or contribution made by the company to political parties, or contribution made by any person to political parties, or donation given to certain charitable institutions, or interest on loan we have paid, especially which we have taken for house construction, or interest on loan which is taken for pursuing higher education, medical treatment expenses, medical insurance premium. So there are many deductions which are available under section 80 CCC to 80 U. So these there is a certain table where even I try to put it in the description box, the deductions which are there from 80C to 80 U. And these, if you know, if they may ask in the examination, such as mention the provision of section 80D. So 80D again here it says about insurance, that is medical insurance premium. So maximum 25,000 he can put it as allowance, and he can deduct it in his total income. For example, my total income is 3 lakh. If I am not having any deduction, then I have to pay the tax on, that is the tax liability will be calculated on 3 lakh. But irrespective of calculating on 3 lakh, we will deduct certain deductions, like 25,000 is deduction where I have done, that is 25,000 plus 25,000. So 25,000 will be for the person with whose income we are calculating the tax, and 25,000 will be the allowance which will be, that is deduction will be available on his or her parents' health. So totally 50,000, up to 50,000 I can deduct from my income, and I can show as the deductions. And these deductions I think you know already, and point by point or section by section they may ask for 2 marks. Then for 6 marks, they here separately will calculate the total taxable income, that is taxable income means the total income minus deductions will calculate. And after doing this deduction, if we calculate the tax liability on the basis of the slab rates which will be given to individual, senior citizen or super senior citizen. So for one type of person, one type of rate of tax will be implied, or tax liability will be implied, and that particular tax liability will be calculated. So separately if they are asking in the sense, then it comes to 6 marks. And for 14 marks, only one question will be there where they will give the details as a problem. From that particular details you have to prepare both, that is total income, and after calculating the total income you have to calculate taxable income. After calculating the taxable income you have to calculate tax liability. So this type of question you will get for 14 marks. Then finally we have set off and carry forward of losses. So this is one particular chapter where whenever a company or a person who has one or two or more properties, there are chances in one particular investment or one particular source there will be a loss, and another particular source there will be an income. So when we are saying or when we are calling a total income for a particular year, see for example, I am working for an organization where I am getting salary. At the same time I have one business where I'll take that particular, I'll take care of that particular business once I go home, that is from 5 to 10 o'clock. So if this is a case where, see, in the income from salaries I am getting income, but income from business which I have, that shop, where it may be profit or loss. Suppose here income from salary I got income, but when it comes to income from business I got loss. So now we have to compensate this loss, and when we are compensating this loss, all the income or all the loss will not be set off. There are certain losses which will be carried forward to coming years or next assessment years or the financial year. So which income should be set off and which loss should be set off against which income, and which loss should be carry forward and which loss should not be carried forward to the next year. So those things will study in this particular chapter, where the for 2 marks meaning of inner head set off. So you should, they'll give, you have to, they may ask for 2 marks like what is the meaning of inner head set off, and then they may ask, mention the rule for carry forward of speculation of business loss. So speculation business again, you know what is the meaning of speculation business. So speculation business means the business which will be carried especially for the purpose of buying and selling, that is purchasing at the purchasing when the price is less and selling when the prices are high. I think you know, we will call a person who is called a speculator. They will take the opportunity of market and they will make the profit. So if we got any loss from that speculation type of business, then how we will carry forward the loss. So that rules we have to identify. Then next we have mentioned any 2 losses which cannot be set off against income under other heads. So there are certain income where which will not be set off. So see, short term loss should be set off against short term loss only. And short term loss can be set off against the short term and long term, but long term loss or long term capital gain loss will not be set off against short term. It should be set off against only long term. So like that type of question they may ask. Then mention meaning of gross total income and total income. So again, what is the meaning of gross total income and total income? So combining all the 5 different sources of income, we'll call it as gross total income. And total income, here it's taxable income. So taxable income is one where after deducting the deductions, we'll call it as total income or taxable income. Then finally mention the provisions to set off and carry forward of loss from house property and capital loss. So just now I said income from house property can be set off against income from loss, that is loss from house property. But capital gains, just now I told you, so short term capital gain can be set off against short term and long term, but long term capital gain cannot be set off against short term. It can be set off against only long term. So again, there is a particular format to calculate it, and this comes for 2 marks. 6 marks again, explain the provisions of set off and carry forward of losses. So for 6 marks there is no any theory questions, problems or practical questions. It's completely theory question. You will get it, how to calculate loss from, how you will treat loss from house property, which means on which income you are going to set off it. Then loss from speculation or non-speculation business, then loss from specified business, then loss from winning from lotteries and loss from crossword puzzles, then loss from activity owning and maintaining horse race. So here these are the certain types of losses where we have to set off against certain income. So how you are going to treat, the treatment you have to tell. And finally, set off and carry forward of losses. Sorry. Finally, the 14 marks, yeah, here there is no any question for 14 marks. So, there is no any question for 14 marks from this particular chapter. So, in set off and carry forward, you will get only for 6 marks and the what we will call 2 marks. There is no any question for 14 marks. I hope this video will be helpful for you. All the best.